Welcome, everyone. We're going to be starting in just a few minutes. Thank you.
All right, we're ready for the slide. There you go, Andrea.
Hello, and welcome to Unity of Fredericksburg. My name is Andrea, and I am pleased to welcome all of you to Unity of Fredericksburg weekly online gathering. At Unity of Fredericksburg, we are advancing the movement of spiritual awakening and transformation through unity, a positive path for spiritual living. Our speaker today is Unity of Fredericksburg's new minister, Reverend Cheryl Fair, and the name of her talk is Understanding Truth. And now, here is Reverend Cheryl.
Thank you, Andrea, and hello, everyone. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day so far. We are, as Andrea mentioned, talking about the power of understanding today. This is one of Unity's 12 powers, and just a quick review for those of you who might not have been following. We have been talking about the 12 powers once a month since I think June of 2022. So we're coming around to a full cycle. The 12 powers is a set of teachings that was developed by Unity founder Charles Fillmore. And the 12 powers are 12 aspects of that which we call God or the universe. And they are also 12 aspects of our own beingness that we can develop to help our lives be more meaningful and prosperous. So we have been following the order of the 12 powers that's presented in this book, Divine Audacity. And we will have a discussion on the power of understanding from Divine Audacity on Wednesday evening. So if you're interested in coming to that, be sure to reach out to Unity of Fredericksburg. Now, one thing that's interesting is that the order in the book Divine Audacity is different from the original Fillmore order, the order he put the powers in. And I find this to be really meaningful because the way that the author of Divine Audacity, Reverend Linda Martella Whitsitt, she starts with the power of faith. We talked about the power of faith in January, and there are locations in the body for each one of these powers so that you can use that, say, in your yoga practice or prayer practice. You can focus energy on certain areas of the body. So faith is located kind of in the center of the head, so right there kind of in your crown chakra area. And there are two different powers that are located right here in the forehead. Understanding being one of them, and the power of will. They're called the twin powers in some sources. Cora Fillmore, and there's a quote from her here. So they connect the inner world of thought with the outer world of manifestation. So if you think of faith as being in the center of your head, and then you have kind of these two translators out here of understanding and will. So we're talking about understanding this month. Next month, we'll be talking about will. There are also colors associated with the powers. So the color for understanding is gold, and the color for will is silver. So gold and silver, you can kind of imagine that right there. And the month after, just a little preview, in April, the next power we'll talk about is imagination. Imagination is right there, kind of your third eye place. So I really like that the Divine Audacity author kind of orders them in that way, because you just have that building of energy and understanding that we're working on in this area of our awareness. So we're talking about understanding. That's a word that we're all familiar with, and we all probably go, oh, I know what that means. I mean, it's a common word. It basically means comprehension. Understanding is an activity that happens on the intellectual level all the time. It's kind of like if we think about working on a puzzle, whatever arena we're in, you start learning different puzzle pieces, and then all the different pieces that you're learning come together, and you have that aha moment. I get it. That's where you've achieved understanding. You've gone beyond sort of learning specific things and moved into a level of understanding where the puzzle pieces connect and it all makes sense. Or sometimes we are experiencing things in different arenas that don't seem to go together. And then all of a sudden you arrive at a place of understanding context, and everything comes together into that moment of understanding. So it's a part of how our human brains make sense and make meaning of our outer lives, our human lives. Now, in Unity, we're always talking about and working with our human nature and how our outer lives, how we are experiencing it. But we also know that not only are we 100% human all the time, but we are also 100% divine all the time. So we are always connected with the energy of the universe, or if you like to use the word God, with the energy of God. And so when we talk about understanding on that level, on a spiritual level, we're talking about understanding truth, and that's truth with a big T. So this is our capacity to comprehend the truth, no matter how things appear to our human senses. Because a lot of times things can show up with all kinds of things in the outer world. Our spiritual understanding is our capacity to see through that, or underneath it, or deeper. And it is an ability that we have access to all the time, no matter what. So you might ask, well, what truth are we looking for? Well, that is a question that you have to work out for yourself. What the truth is in whatever circumstances you're witnessing, that becomes your spiritual practice. Is like, okay, what truth are we talking about? And what our founders say is that you have but to ask. So just ask, what is the truth here for me to understand? So I'm just going to leave that there right now, and we're going to come back to it later. Right now, I'd like to read to you from Charles Fillmore, from his original book on all this, The 12 Powers, where he's kind of explaining, and this is just a short little quote, this sort of connection between our human intellectual understanding and spiritual understanding. So here's Charles Fillmore. Intellectual understanding comes first in the soul development. Then a deeper understanding of principles follows until the whole person ripens into wisdom. So he's talking about understanding as kind of a two-phase process. Now, another thing that Fillmore does for us, and in this case, it's particularly meaningful, is he also associates one of the disciples of Jesus from the Bible with each power. And in this case, some of the examples with some of the powers, it's like, there's only like one sentence about this guy, so it's not very meaningful. But with the power of understanding, this is particularly meaningful and gives us a really great example, because the disciple associated with understanding is Thomas, often known as Doubting Thomas. So just to refer to a section of the Bible, I'm going to be paraphrasing here from John, the Gospel of John, chapter 20, verses 25 to 29. So in that part of the Gospel of John is depicting Jesus's visit to the disciples after the resurrection. But Thomas is not there the first time that Jesus comes around. So the other disciples are telling Thomas, like, you wouldn't believe what happened. There was Jesus. And he wants to believe, but his intellect demands proof. And here's what he says in that gospel. This is Thomas. Unless I see the mark of the nails in his hands and put my finger in the mark of the nails and my hand in his side, I will not believe. So my question for you all, friends, is are you ever in that place where your spirit wants to believe, but your brain is like, no, 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 we need proof? Are you ever in that place? Is that ever kind of like your ego, your intellect is demanding that it see the proof of things before you believe in something? I think, probably many of us would go, oh, yeah, I've been to that moment. So as the gospel goes on, Jesus works with Thomas kind of at his level, going, all right, see, you can see right here, you can see right here, and lets Thomas touch, so that his human senses get a sense of what's going on. And Jesus says to this afterwards, you believed because you have seen me. Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have come to believe. So there's Jesus kind of challenging us to look beyond our intellectual understanding and dive into that level of spiritual understanding where we can really, it helps us to flourish and have a more meaningful life. So as mentioned before, Charles Fillmore talks about the power of understanding as kind of coming in two phases. And he talks about it from first the intellectual phase, where you gain intellectual understanding kind of at the human nature level, and then it evolves into spiritual understanding. I would also say that I think there are some of us who have experienced moments where we have what we might call divine inspiration, where we just know something is true, and then we let our human brain, our ego, come to a level of realization. So I don't think it always works in the direction of kind of the human understanding first going to spiritual. Sometimes I think it goes the other way, but there are those two different levels. And on the human level, there are some of us who are skeptics. Anyone out there call yourself a skeptic? So, and skepticism can be an expression of a healthy desire for understanding, for truth, that asking of questions. So especially if we're asking questions that, rather than tearing things down, we're asking questions that are leading us to understanding whatever truth is present, whatever spiritual truth is present. However, very often that tendency to ask questions and display skepticism is more cynical, and it allows us to fall into doubt. It allows us to dwell in thoughts that might be limiting, beliefs that are limiting. And when we do that, when we allow that to happen, in other words, when we let our brain or our ego be in charge and limit things, we then are limiting our own capacity to experience our own understanding on a deeper level. Now, let me be clear. Our ability to tap into that rich spiritual understanding is always there. It's always there and always available. But very often, what's going on with our thoughts and feelings and beliefs and attitudes limit our access to it. It's always there. So Fillmore at one point refers to people who become, quote, enamored of the revelations they receive through the head, end quote, and they fail to move on to that second phase of understanding at the heart level, at the spiritual level. So it's important for us to try to recognize when we are in limiting thoughts, when we're having thoughts of lack. We can have beliefs that we're carrying around for years and years and years, from our family of origin, from things that happened when we were kids, beliefs that say, I'm not good enough, there's not enough money, enough love, enough whatever. And that can also limit our own access to this wonderful level of spiritual understanding. So, if spiritual understanding is what we're seeking, then of course we want to ask, how can we develop our spiritual understanding? What can I do about that? If I know that I'm dwelling in thoughts of lack and limitation, and I'm not getting something that I know there's truth there, but I can't find it, like, why am I continuing to experience this again? And Fillmore is really helpful with this in this case, because he has an answer, and I referred to it earlier, and it's quite direct. His answer and how you develop spiritual understanding is ask. So I'm going to read to you again from The 12 Powers by Charles Fillmore. Here he is saying, no one ever attained spiritual consciousness without striving for it. The first step is to ask. Then he's quoting scripture here. Ask, and it shall be given to you. Seek, and ye shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened to you. More from Fillmore. Prayer is one form of asking, seeking, and knocking. Then make your mind receptive to the higher understanding through silent meditations and affirmations of truth. The earnest desire to understand spiritual things will open the way, and revelation within and without will follow. So he's pretty direct right there as to how you do that, how we can open ourselves up to spiritual understanding. So I would suggest that when you are experiencing that sense of not enough, ask, what is the truth here for me to understand? When you find yourself engaged with conflict or confusion, why is this going on? What does this mean? Ask, what is the truth here for me to understand? One of the essential teachings in unity is that all of the wonders of the universe, or that which we call God, is ours to enjoy and experience all the time without limitation. And sometimes we end up shutting ourselves down to that with negative thoughts, beliefs we're carrying from years ago. Let me read to you a little bit on this, just to talk a little bit more about this abundance that is available to us also in the area of understanding. And this is from Lessons in Truth by Emily Cady. So here she is saying, there is already provided a lavish abundance for every human want. In other words, the supply of every good always awaits the demand. Another truth is that the demand must be made before the supply can come forth to fill it. So here she's using the word demand. Fillmore has used the word ask, but it's the same process. So your prayer is your demand. Sometimes when I am teaching class, I refer to it as it's like your order at the lunch counter of the universe. The order you're giving to the God energy that is at the center of the activity of your life. You're placing that with your prayer, with your intention that you've set, with your very thoughts. So just think about it. If you're having crappy thoughts about, this never works out for me, that's the order you're placing on the lunch counter of the universe. Is that what you would like to receive? So when it comes to understanding, realize that it is available to us in abundance, or as Emily Cady says, lavish What you need to do is work on your ask. How are you placing your order? What kind of demand are you putting on this abundance of the universe? So when you feel like you are lacking in understanding, why is this happening? Why does this keep happening? I don't get it. Tap into your limitless power of understanding. Expand your awareness of truth that is present in all circumstances. There is always truth present. There is always that energy of that which we call God, the benevolent nature of the universe. It's available to you. Sometimes you just need to work on getting thoughts out of the way and placing your demand, placing your order. So, right now we are going to move into a time of meditation. And I am using some material from in the modern copies of the 12 Powers. There are actually 2 books present there. There's a second book in the back called Christ Enthroned in Man by Cora Fillmore. And we're going to be using some statements from that for our meditation today. So let's start out, as we always do, with some deep breaths. So just center yourself right now in your body. In your body, feeling the breath going in and out. Bring your focus, just quieting the mind and opening the heart. Bring your focus to the nerve center that's kind of at your solar plexus. So right in the middle of your body. And hold this thought. The Christ of God is active in me. The breath of God gives me understanding. I am transformed by the renewing of my mind. Take a few deep breaths there. And now allow your focus to rise up. Rise up to your head, to the front of your brain, to the seat of understanding. And let's meditate on this thought. Divine understanding is awakened in me, and I am divinely guided in all that I do. I see spiritually. I feel spiritually. I know spiritually. Just breathe into that. And now let's let our focus drift gently down through the body, all the way down to your feet as they're resting gently on whatever surface you're sitting on. And let's draw from there on the energy of the earth, the grounding energy of the earth, and hold this in prayer. My feet are placed on the firm rock of the divine understanding. I choose to guide and direct myself by the wisdom and power of the indwelling Christ. And let us dwell for a few moments in the stillness together right now. Now let's begin to bring our awareness back to the space that we are in. Back to the breath in the body. And let's take a few moments to just feel gratitude for this opportunity to come together in this way and reflect upon these ideas and feel it moving through our body, through our breath. And we'll close today with an affirmation. I'm going to say it once, and I like to put my hand on my heart when I'm saying an affirmation, and then you can repeat it with me as you wish. Divine understanding is awakened in me, and I am grateful. Let's do that again. Divine understanding is awakened in me, and I am grateful. One more time. Divine understanding is awakened in me, and I am grateful. So it is, my friends. Back to you, Andrea.
For those of you watching on YouTube, we thank you for joining our weekly broadcast. Please like this video and subscribe to the Unity of Fredericksburg YouTube channel so you can find us easily again next Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Our full service, including music, prayer, and interaction, takes place on Zoom. If you would like to join us in beloved community on Sunday mornings, send an email to info@uofva.org to receive the Zoom link. Learn more and support our mission of spiritual awakening and transformation by making your financial gift through our website, uofva.org.